Good morning, and I apologize for being tardy. I was at Assembly Appropriations, and as soon as they took roll, I came over here. We don't have a quorum yet, but we're getting very close. But I think should we start hearing bills?
Yeah, we have two things. We have Mr. Mendoza to present in the general. The general is here first. Actually has a hearing to chair.
Who's here?
Mr. Mendoza. Okay. So when they maybe discuss the order.
All right. Mr. Roth, I think, was the first to arrive, so and that should be a fairly brief item. Welcome, Senator Roth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. I'm privileged to present Senate Bill 897 today. First, I'd like to thank the committee for working with me on the technical clarifying amendments, which I certainly accept. This is a bipartisan measure that provides a narrow extension of workers' compensation benefits to peace officers and firefighters who were catastrophically injured at the hands of another in the line of duty. As you know, Labor Code section currently 4850.
Move the bill.
There's a motion and second. And Senator Roth, if you would allow us to take roll, it'll help us be more efficient. So let's do a roll, take roll for a quorum, please.
Daly.
Here.
Melendez. Here. Travis Allen. Bigelow. Calderon. Chu. Here. Cooley. Here. Cooper. DeBobne. Dolly. Here. Frazier.
Here.
Gatto. Here. Rodriguez. We have a quorum.
Cool. We have a quorum. Thank you, Senator. Please go ahead.
As you know, Labor Code Section 4850, peace officers and firefighters are eligible for up to 1 year of leave without loss of salary or benefits when they are temporarily disabled due to injury. This bill would provide an additional year of benefits in those few cases where an officer has received injuries so severe that after 1 year of temporary disability, the officer still remains temporarily disabled fighting to return to duty. Senate Bill 897 provides this extended coverage very narrowly for three specific injuries: severe burns, severe bodily injuries resulting from a building collapse, and severe bodily injuries resulting from a shooting or a stabbing. From the beginning, the Riverside Police Officers Association and I have committed to narrowly tailoring Senate Bill 897 to ensure that costs to local agencies are kept to an absolute minimum. The narrow class of injuries for which this benefit is allowed, as well as existing workers' compensation procedures that are triggered upon a finding that the injured is permanent and stationary, help limit this benefit to ensure that it does not create major costs on local governments. Senate Bill 897 is supported by Police Officer and Firefighter Associations, SEIU California, and the Peace Officer Research Association of California, has received no votes in the Senate. I have with me Andrew Takias and Brian Smith of the Riverside Police Officers Association and representative of the California Professional Firefighters to testify. I respectfully ask for your aye vote.
All right. If the witnesses in support would like to speak.
My name is Brian Smith. I'm the president of the Riverside Police Officers Association and a sergeant with the City of Riverside Police Department. I appreciate your time and obviously the Senator's commitment to examining this and moving it forward after seeing the importance of it. February 7th, 2013, the City of Riverside was shocked to have a police officer, Michael Crane, murdered in the line of duty with his partner, Andrew Takias, seated to my right, who was seated to Michael's left the night of the attack. Andrew's here today to talk to you about his recovery process, being struck by an assault rifle rounds about 9 times, and how that process worked out for him. What we learned as the association going forward trying to support Andrew was that during his recovery, and he'll talk about that, about 9 months in was the first opportunity that he had to get brackets off of his hands and things of that nature. And if you're familiar with 4850 time, he has 12 months from the date of the injury to either recover, be determined permanent and stationary, and sent out on a disability retirement. We were fortunate that the City of Riverside embraced Andrew's condition and position, and they retained him as an employee, despite the fact that he was running out of his 4850 time. They kept him on the books, so to speak, because his improvement was great each and every time he had surgeries. And we were able to convince the council at the time that there was no way, based on the severity of the injuries, that there was any way to anticipate him being remotely close to having a determination of his ability to recover within the 12-month period allotted by the government code. So they retained him, and I'm happy to say that Andrew just this year returned to modified duty at the Riverside Police Department, where he's working in personnel, and he can discuss that more with you if he chooses to. But what I don't want to happen is the detractors, and there's not very many of them from the bill, but the detractors that were going to cloud the issue and say that, oh, the financial impact of this is great. Even the Senators' committee, when you do the research to find out how many people this would actually impact, in the 20 years I've been in law enforcement and with Riverside PD, we've never had a situation similar to this, where an officer was injured in the line of duty and so gravely that he didn't succumb to his wounds, but eventually worked his way back to come back to work. And I don't know if you would find any other specific instances within the state. I know that there's a lot of folks that believe that this has a crazy impact financially. We're not talking about back injuries, slip and falls, close to retirement, bending over in your chair and coming up lame and getting a medical retirement as a result of it. This is specifically crafted, in our opinion, for the individual that's assaulted and attacked while doing their job and has a desire to come back to work. And that was the issue for Andrew. And I think he can talk about the mental aspect in his recovery process. When we were able to tell him that, you know, the city is here for you and the association's here for you until you decide that you're ready to go or you've completely rehabilitated yourself to come back to work, I think the mental aspect of that changed for him. But again, Andrew's here to talk to you. I appreciate your time and effort, and I hope, I can't fix what happened to Andrew through the government code, and I'm very thankful that the city did what they did for him to retain him. But I'm hoping that, God forbid, another public safety officer or firefighter receive similar injuries, they don't have the clock ticking 12 months on them. So we're asking to go back to the 2 years like it used to be for 4850 time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Sir, would you like to speak now?
Hello, good morning. Thank you for having me. My name is Andrew Takias, and I'm a police officer for the city of Riverside. On February 7th, 2013, I was working uniform patrol in the city of Riverside with my training officer, Michael Crane. While stopped at a red light in our patrol car, we came under fire as we were ambushed by a domestic terrorist whose name I will not say. We were both shot multiple times. Michael Crane died instantly, and I was transported to the hospital a short time later. Sir, I'd like to pass around 2 sets of photos. He did the same thing. You guys don't mind looking at them and passing to each other, so you guys can envision what I went through that night. And we'll just take a look as I keep talking to you. I was shot a few times in my left tricep. The bullets exited through my shoulder, which I had replaced. I was shot in my right humerus, which instantly broke. I was also shot in my right leg and my back. I had graze wounds to my head and left hand. I also have shrapnel near the inside of my left knee and a scar near the kneecap, which I noticed a few months later. I spent 18 days in the hospital. I left with both arms in a cast, no movement in my left hand, and very little movement in my right hand. A few months after returning home, the hardware in my right humerus broke. I had another surgery to repair it, and an internal bone stimulator was placed in my arm because the bone wasn't healing. As the cast slowly came off, over time, I was placed in hand splints to keep my fingers and wrists elevated. This was to prevent the tendons from overstretching. I had the inability to lift my wrists and fingers for almost a year. Nerves grow back at a very slow rate. Before doing surgery to correct what my wrists were functioning as, I had to wait to see how my body would heal on its own. So I got injured in February of 2013, and it wasn't until November of that year that I began to get a little bit of movement back in my hands. That left me with 3 months left of 4850 time. During this period, I still needed assistance getting out of bed, eating, using the restroom, and bathing. I gained 60 plus pounds and suffered from depression. I went through several periods where I would seclude myself from the majority of the people I knew. As the 1 year period came, I began to have tendon transfer surgeries on my arm. This allowed me to lift my wrists and hands again. However, it took several months of rehab. In the second year of being off work, I learned how to regain my independence and adapt to the new way my body works. I've lost 40 pounds, quit all medication, gained back some strength, and most importantly, I'm able to work again. I went back to work in October of 2015, and I now have a desk job. The City of Riverside and the Riverside Police Department have put me in a position where I'm able to perform the duties that my position requires. It's always going to be difficult to judge how anyone's body will heal, and you never know if they will have the ability to return to work. However, it would be very unfortunate for a public safety member to be injured while putting their life on the line and then have the city decide when their healing will stop. I hope that as you see and listen to me, I can be an example for why 4850 time should be extended. Now, as those photos go around, I want you to know that I was the driver of that vehicle that night, and all the bullets entered on my side of the car. And for you to see those photos, it would be understandable to see how could anyone survive this. So I'd like to show you my injuries today. Both of these arms were in casts, and when I couldn't lift them, they flopped like this all day. I had these splints on each hand that lifted my fingers to keep them from overstretching. You can see my tendons on the outside. You guys probably have them in the middle. Mine got switched out, and this allows the tendon to do what the nerves can't do anymore. See, my arm looks a little funny here, and here's a scar on the back side of my arm. Bullet entered right here, and I have about 2 plates, 18 screws, and an internal bone stimulator here. It's hard to lift, but here's the scar for where they replaced my left shoulder. This is as high as I could lift it right now. These 2 scars right here are from the removal of shrapnel in my arms, and I have a surgery this Friday to remove 2 more pieces right here, and then just scarring on each side. Here's the graze wound on my hand that I'm talking about. You can see that this hand now functions pretty good. This one still lags a little bit, but it's getting there.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Senator, we have other witnesses in support. Please go ahead.
Mr. Chair, members, Christy Baum on behalf of the California Professional Firefighters, co-sponsors of the measure, and just honored by the service of these gentlemen to my right, and urge your support today.
Thank you very much. Are there other persons here to support this bill? Please go ahead. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, Mike Carroll with the California Applicant Attorneys Association in support of the bill.
Thank you. Other persons in support, please. Now is the time. If there are no other persons in support, are there persons here to oppose the bill? We'll have only 2 speakers in opposition, so decide among yourselves, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair and members. My name is Jason Schmelzer. I'm here on behalf of the California Coalition on Workers' Compensation. First, just want to acknowledge Officer Takis for not just surviving an extraordinary event, but frankly having the perseverance and character and drive to get to where he is today. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. And frankly, the Riverside Police Department for making that possible. This bill is basically about under what circumstances do we want to provide an additional year of the existing 4850 time for peace officers and firefighters. My organization, other organizations have long opposed 4850 time generally, conceptually, as a special benefit that isn't conferred to all injured workers in the workers' compensation system. So what we have here is really a threshold question. This special benefit that is provided just to peace officers and firefighters, under what circumstances are we going to go beyond the current year offered? I think the analysis does a good job of identifying the issues. One, peace officers, firefighters already do receive a special benefit that is not available to workers in any other circumstance. There's no data, frankly, to back the need for the bill, although obviously what we do have is very strong anecdotal evidence that situations do arise where this could be needed. Thirdly, if unions and police departments and cities and counties wanted to, they could currently achieve this policy and implement it through collective bargaining. We hear in this and other committees very frequently that is kind of the table where these conversations should occur. We think this is an issue that's ripe for collective bargaining, and we would encourage folks to pursue it through that approach. Finally, I think what we see here is a question over policy, a question over data, something that the governor has signaled on similar bills that he's not going to go down without sufficient data and analysis. We don't have that data and analysis here. My organization, I'm sure other organizations would be happy to sit down with the author, the sponsors, et cetera, to work through the data, see what's available, and see what makes sense. The policy generally about how peace officers and firefighters are treated in the workers' compensation system with presumptions, with 4850 time, has been put together into a collection in a sort of ragtag way. This tiny policy here, this tiny policy there. So while we would acknowledge that there is a cost, and we would certainly acknowledge what the gentleman from Riverside indicated, that even in this micro portion of that overall policy wouldn't be so substantial that it causes us problems. What we deal with is this collection that is kind of built one brick at a time, and now what we have is kind of a mountain of cost associated with the overall policy. So with that, we are opposed to the bill. We do appreciate, frankly, the posture of the author's office and the sponsors throughout the year in dealing with us with respect to this bill, but we still do urge your no vote today based on the issues that I've raised. So thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead, please.
Faith Conley with the California State Association of Counties, also on behalf of CSAC EIA. We're also in opposition. I would echo Mr. Schmelzer's comments. We also appreciate the author's office working with us on narrowing the bill. We understand that going forward, we're hoping to further narrow the definition of severe, which we believe at this point is too broad to be left to the public agencies to denote when the extra year of 4850 would apply. So for those reasons, right now we are in opposition.
Thank you very much. So there were to be two speakers, but go ahead briefly, please.
Just Julianne Broyles here on behalf of the California Association of Joint Powers Authorities. Appreciate the balanced analysis on this issue. Would hope that the committee looks at those. Ask for your no vote at this time.
Thank you very much. Other persons in opposition to the bill, please go ahead.
Martha Guerrero, representing the Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors, in opposition.
Thank you.
Dylan Gibbons with the California Special Districts Association in opposition.
Dane Hutchings with the League of California Cities in opposition.
Asha Harris on behalf of the California State Sheriff's Association in opposition.
Any other persons wishing to oppose the bill? If not, that concludes the testimony. Are there any committee questions? Any questions by members of the committee for Senator Roth? Mr. Allen, go ahead.
Thank you very much. Thanks for this bill, and thanks for your testimony. I think that we all... none of us would want to be placed in your position, and we're all thankful that you were there, and you really did. You lived up to everything that we would hope that someone in your line of work would live up to. So, on my behalf, it's really moving testimony. As relates to this bill, I think that there is a large cost component to extending 4850 benefits. However, as I read the bill, this really it's a very narrow circumstance we're talking about here. We're talking about catastrophic injury at the hands of another. If you could, and I know that I arrived a little bit late, but I'd just like you to reiterate for my benefit, if for no one else in the committee, the exact scope of this bill. So it's pretty clear exactly what this is designed to cover and what it's not designed to cover.
Well, in the first place, to trigger the second year of 4850 time, remember a doctor with utilization review and all of that occurs in the workers' compensation system A healthcare provider has to decide that further recovery is possible and further treatment is warranted. So that alone is going to make it a very narrow scope of individuals who are entitled to take advantage of the second year of 4850 time. I've asked for data from CSAC and from the League, and there is no data. And that's probably because there are very, very few of these cases. California professional firefighters could not think of any. So there are not going to be very many of these cases. And the cases are going to be limited to those situations where a worker's recovery is still possible. A utilization review committee determines and a physician recommends further treatment into the second year to allow the worker, in this case, the police officer, the deputy sheriff, firefighter, to continue to recover and return to work. In many cases, as you know, after that first year of 4850 time, the doctor determines that recovery is unlikely, no further treatment is warranted, the individual, to use workers' compensation terms, is determined to be permanent and stationary, determined to be permanently disabled, and the individual retires. So the bill is intended to be very narrow. The data supports that there are going to be a very limited number of these cases in the state of California, or the lack of data indicates there are going to be a limited number of these cases in the state of California. And frankly, we're talking about folks who protect us. And without this, at the end of the first year of 4850 time, while there still remains an additional period of time under the Labor Code and the Workers' Compensation Act where temporary disability payments would still be made to the worker under the comp law, what happens to the family and the health benefits for the family of the worker who flips from 4850 time to the straight workers' compensation?
So then just to clarify, and I understand everything you just said, this only relates to injuries that are catastrophic and suffered at the hands of another while in the line of work. Is that correct?
Exactly. Severe burns in the case of a firefighter.
Got it. Got it. With that, I walked in actually as a no, just so you know, in committee, and I'll be happy to change my vote to a yes. Thanks so much for your service. Looking forward to helping you.
All right, Mr. Frazier has a question, Mr. Dolly, and then Mr. Gatto. Go ahead, Mr. Frazier.
So not really much of a question, is more of a statement. As a former city council member and mayor of a city, and understanding how a lot of jurisdictions are not providing the tools in the toolbox for public safety as they should. A lot of departments are undermanned to the 1.5 per thousand. And fire departments are shortchanged because of revenue drops. I mean, I think in Contra Costa they closed 11 stations, and in my East Contra Costa County they actually only have 3 stations for 250 square miles, so nine people on duty. And these are members that are going in there and willfully taking their life into their own hands to protect us. Why would you want to be a firefighter or a police officer if you know the city doesn't have your back, or the county? Why would you? This is why we have these other foundations, the 1199 Foundation and all these others, who pick up the slack. The government should be taking care of these individuals who put themselves out there, and I thank you. You made a sacrifice. But Senator Roth, you did make a very good point about also being able to take care of the family after that year. Because it is a drastically reduced amount of money on workman's comp, and your insurance benefits then have to be paid out of that. So I think that we have to honestly look at, and again, as narrowly tailored as this bill is, that we have to continue to support our public safety on a higher level, give an incentive for people, because our cities are only economically viable if they are safe. It's an investment. So thank you for bringing this forward.
All right, Mr. Dolly. He answered my question in his other previous. Great, thank you. Mr. Gatto.
So my question is for the Senator. Senator, I see in Section 4850.1G of your bill that it exempts, that is, it does not apply to fire and police personnel who are employed in San Francisco. And there have been some rather catastrophic injuries by people, particularly police officers recently in San Francisco, and I'm curious why we would not want to cover them.
It's my understanding, sir, that the City and County of San Francisco, California Professional Firefighters can probably help with this, but it's my understanding that they have their own system set up in the city and county of San Francisco to take care of this very issue, but perhaps I can have a lifeline.
Of course. As you know, San Francisco is a charter city, and they have established their own equivalent benefit of 4850. And I think I don't know that for sure. It may not be. It may only be a year. But because they're a charter city, it's the legislature. Can't impose rules on charter cities. They have to establish.
No, but I mean, so this doesn't apply to Los Angeles, which is a charter city. I mean, Riverside's a charter city.
Los Angeles has its own equivalent 4850 benefit as well.
So this bill does not apply to charter cities at all? Because it doesn't say it doesn't apply to charter cities. It says it doesn't apply to San Francisco.
Right, and that was an exemption that was put in the law a long time ago before I even arrived at the California Professional Firefighters. That's not something that was done in this measure for all of the 4850 benefit.
It's my understanding that they have, City and County of San Francisco historically have had their own version of Labor Code Section 4850, and for that reason we just continued that exception.
Okay.
All right.
I can get more detail to you on that.
Are there any other questions of the committee? This is item 3 on the agenda. It's SB 897. I just wanted to clarify because some members came in a little bit later. We're on SB 897 by Senator Roth. Mr. Cooley has a question, and then Mr. Chu.
More, I was just going to say, looking at this bill, this is a very narrowly tailored bill, I would say, from the standpoint of what we're doing here in the insurance code. There have been times when here in California we have innovated in the law of insurance, innovated in the law of workers' comp. This is not a provision of broad application. It is narrowly tailored. You end up needing to use words to characterize the special circumstances, but we have catastrophic injury here. It includes battery, which is a legal concept of an unlawful touching, a non-consented to touching. There's actually important hedges, I would say, in this drafting. And I do think it is a province of the legislature to articulate policy which we feel embodies right rules. And I think my colleague from the East Bay's point about this provision of law supports those folks who have the great good fortune to survive horrific conduct by another or adverse circumstances in the case of our firefighters. So I think there are good hedges in this, using as best we can words. There are excluded categories of employees, so we make clear we're talking more frontline individuals. So I think drafting is always can be difficult, but I think in the range of things I'm familiar with in the insurance code and in the workers' comp field, this is a narrowly tailored statute drafted with a variety of things to hedge it in. So I just think it's a very fine bill. Thank you for bringing it forward. And anyway, thank you very much.
All right, Mr. Chu has a question, then Mr. Cooper and Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you very much. As really a comment, I just wanted to take this opportunity to thank all those uniformed public safety officers for your services and your sacrifice. As we're speaking right now, one of my police officers in Fremont PD, well, 2 got shot. One just got out of the hospital in about 2 weeks, and once after 3 weeks is still in the hospital suffering from some gunshot wound on the chest and the head. So thank you very much, Senator, for bringing this to us. I think it's a narrowly tailored bill, like Senator indicated. It will not have much of an impact to the local government, and will definitely could easily be dropped during the collective bargaining period. So I'll be supporting this bill. Thank you very much.
Mr. Cooper.
I want to thank the Senator for bringing this forward, and thank you guys for your service. I really appreciate it. And I think Mr. Cooley said it best. This is a narrowly crafted, narrowly focused bill that addresses that. And this officer up here, he's a young man. He will never, ever be the same if he comes back. And that's the thing you don't think about. 18 months ago, I worked for the Sheriff's Department. I've had 2 shoulder surgeries, 2 knee surgeries, and I'll have knee replacements someday because of my injuries, not sitting behind a desk. Shame on the sheriffs. Shame on the cities and counties. These folks being out there protecting you and doing that job. And that's really what it comes down to. And 4850 takes a long time. I had shoulder surgery back in October. My shoulder's not healed yet. So it'll be a year before it's healed. I couldn't work right now if I was still in law enforcement. And sometimes these injuries take a long time to heal, and 4850 may take longer for that. So these folks are out there protecting us and coming no matter what, even when the bad guys are shooting. And shame on those folks for not supporting their employees that do that. And what's ironic is some agencies are good about it. You don't have to do for a year, but they're covering through modified or light duty. You got a great department. A lot of departments wouldn't do that because it's a number. We're going to get rid of you and push you on down the road, and that's how it is. It's business to them, but it's really not business. What we've seen from some of the incidents in San Bernardino and in Orlando, officers go there and risk their lives on a daily basis. And there's, like I said, this is narrowly crafted. It's not broad. It's not wide open. So I support it fully. I'll be supporting it. And thank you for your service. Thank you for protecting us. And you got a great city you work for. So thank you, sir.
All right. Mr. Rodriguez.
Thank you, Senator, also for bringing this very important bill forward. As someone who works side by side the members of law enforcement and firefighters, I see the jobs you guys do day in and day out now from years ago. Who would have seen that the things you face now are something that we were going to be thinking about? So my hands off to all the men and women in law enforcement and firefighters for all the jobs, the well jobs you do. And this is a good bill to help protect you and your families, that that we're looking after your best interests and helping you any way we can. So thank you very much, Senator, and I look forward to supporting this bill as well.
All right. Are there any other questions by committee members? If not, Senator Roth, you're welcome to wrap it up, sir.
Just respectfully ask for an aye vote. Thank you, Mr.
All right.
Chair.
Thank you very much. We've had a full discussion on the bill. We've had excellent testimony. We appreciate the testimony very much. And there was a motion and second to approve the bill. Let's vote.
Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Travis Allen. Aye. Travis Allen, aye. Bigelow. Calderon. Chu.
Aye.
Chu, aye. Cooley.
Aye.
Cooley, aye. Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. DeBobne. Dolly.
Aye.
Dolly, aye. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Gatto. Gatto, aye. Rodriguez.
Aye.
Rodriguez, aye.
10 votes. The bill is passed out of committee. On to the next step.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Chair.
you.
Members, for your consideration.
Okay, Senator Roth. Members, we have 8 bills on the consent calendar, and I think it's wise to get those. There's a motion and second. Let's do a roll call vote on the consent calendar.
Daly.
Aye.
Daly, aye. Melendez. Melendez, aye. Travis Allen. Travis Allen, aye. Bigelow. Calderon. Chu. Chu, aye. Cooley. Okay. It's Cooper.
Aye.
Cooper, aye. DeBobne. Dolly. Dolly, aye. Frazier.
Aye.
Frazier, aye. Gatto. Gatto, aye. Rodriguez. Rodriguez, aye.
9 votes for the consent calendar. The consent calendar passes. Members, we have 3 more bills to hear, 1 by Senator Liu and 2 by Senator Mendoza. I'm going to turn the gavel over to our vice chair, and I need to go over to approps and vote, and then I'll be back. So, Melissa, it's all yours.
All right, thank you. Do we need to turn that one off or no?